what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. I am here by myself yet again. Robert is still the voiceless of the voiceless. He does not have a voice still. So I am running this show solo yet again. We got a lot to talk about here, though. Breaking news, couple of breaking news notes going down. And then on top of it, we have AEW Grand Slam to chat about. And we have a little AJ Styles news to chat about. So lots on the table here today, including this drink I have. I have the Prime drink mix, and I've got to shake it up. Shake it up tonight. Oh, I'm spilling all over the place. Let's say hi to some people here, though. My cat is staring daggers into my eyes. Johnny Disco says, good morning, R&R. Who is the real MVP? Who is the real MVP, Johnny Disco? I'll say you are. Oh, Jake, oddly enough, Prince Nana is the real MVP. Who knew? LOL. Yes, we will be certainly covering that element of Grand Slam. Which, would you say that's the biggest takeaway of the show? I mean, we had a great match with Brian Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. Seems like they haven't missed a beat, even after Nigel's been gone for 15 years out of the ring. But very exciting stuff. Overall, the atmosphere feels cool with Grand Slam. Watching live, or a little on delay, I guess. It was a little bit on delay. But I thought that it was a pretty good show, from all things considered. We did get a good surprise. The way things were structured, though, very confusing. You know what I mean? Where it's just like... what was going to be on that card and what wasn't? Like, it almost felt like if you weren't super in tune with what was happening, whether it was be it on Collision or be it on Dynamite here, that you didn't know what the card exactly was. Is that a good thing? Because if you saw me yesterday, I ran down the card and I ran down the whole card, and some of those matches didn't even happen. So, and they did have like a graphic of both Dynamite and Collision at the top of this graphic. Let's see if I can pull it up. I'll bring it back. Did have the graphic. So, yeah, you can see right beside Nigel, there's Collision, and right beside Danielson, there's Dynamite. So, it was hard to kind of decipher what was going to be on what. We did not get Saraya versus Jamie Hayter. We didn't get Hangman Page versus Jarrett, did we? I didn't see it. If they did, they squeezed it into nothing. Because I'll admit that at one point, I happened to skip ahead. It was in between the Mariah May match and the Minya Yakuzuka match. Yakizaki match. So I did not get to see that. But, we didn't see Jarrett and Hangman, right? We did not see it. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember it. But either way, the opening match between Danielson and Nigel was awesome, I thought. They took some moments where it's like trading uppercuts and stuff like that, and I found more like the chop fest or the slap fest or going back and forth. It is on Collision. Thank you, Dre. That's what okay. See, did they advertise that as Collision though initially? I thought that was definitely going to be on the Grand Slam itself, the actual Dynamite Grand Slam, but maybe I'm mistaken on that. But like the trading of chops and uppercuts and slaps and stuff like that kind of been taking me out of the match itself a lot recently. So that kind of threw me off a little bit, but overall I love the match. That catch as catch can kind of style they were doing, holy smokes, that was awesome. Like, man, they looked great. I did like the finish too. Just the emphatic tap out by Nigel was great. So really, really good opener. It seems like it was bucket list items for both those guys to kind of have that match. Danielson looked great. Like JR on commentary mentioned, like, oh man, I don't know how good he's looking at doing all this stuff, like considering his neck and everything. And so I don't know how. I always just don't like that bug in my ear. It's a negative connotation, I think, when it comes to Danielson, is like his injury history. Where sometimes you can play that and make that beneficial to the match and to a feud, but it's just like we know what Danielson's gone through, and and Danielson's fully embraced leaning into this aspect of his career, is the injury and difficulties and all this kind of stuff. He has been all about doing that. So it's like, I just don't know if it's really conducive for the fan element of making that a big point to keep bringing up. Obviously, it is part of his history, but do we really need to hear that all the time? I love the match. Don't get me wrong, though. It was great. We also had... Let me pull up my rundown here. I lost it in my shuffle getting back. Yeah, we had Hook taking on Roderick Strong, which also I thought was a pretty good match. I was, not sold on it. Just from the context of how these personas have been positioned and things like that, it's just kind of felt like a lukewarm feud. But this match was good. And then the payoff, I thought, was even better in several ways. First, no more FTW title. And I thought it was a cool way to kind of get people over early on in the early history of AEW. Like, you think about Brian Cage, you think about Ricky Starks, then Jungle Boy gets hold of it, and then challenges guys like RVD, so there's history tied into it, everything like that. But it was never officially recognized by AEW, and it kind of was not played on the best notes throughout its history in AEW. So I think factoring in what all that considered, and all the titles that they have right now, you think about the Continental Championship, you think about the International title, think about, do they still have two trios titles, or is that just a one thing now? Wait, no, it is. They have. So they have the AEW Trios titles, and then they have the ROH Trios titles, because Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs hold those. And then you also have the ROH Tag Team Championships. You have the Tag Team Championships. You have a lot of titles. So this one, despite the history between Taz and this title and Hook being an overstar in their promotion, does not make sense to have the FTW title anymore. So it was very appropriate, very fitting that Hook retired it in New York City with his dad, gave his dad a hug. Really cool moment. So the payoff was good. The best possible payoff you could get with retiring that championship. So kudos to AEW and them making that decision and having that happen. Pretty cool sentimental moment with him and Hook too, by the way. Another good payoff, I think, to this was turning the Kingdom babyface, giving them something different, because, man, they just are, from the get-go, it almost felt kind of snake-bitten, because you think about think about Adam Cole getting hurt, you think about the misutilization of Wardlow, who I believe Matthew Taven said that is actually hurt, his knee is hurt, so he added to that. So yeah, I think turning the babyface, shaking hands with Hook at the end, I think it's a great move, and gives these guys some added potential that they've been able to show in different promotions, particularly in ROH. People kind of poo-pooed at Matt Taven's run, but them as the Kingdom there, they kind of felt like a pretty good heel faction back then. They had some I don't want to say credit, they did have credibility back then, and a cachet, I will say, a little bit, as a bigger act. Now that they've been in AEW, now that they've floated around TNA and certain things like that, they're almost hey, they've unfortunately been kind of positioned in an afterthought kind of thing. It's these guys too, they're here as well. And they're almost felt like insurgents a lot of the times than an actual credible faction. Here, you have them maybe as baby faces, where you have these several top heel factions going on right now, right? You have the Elite, you have Moxley's faction, and I might be missing. The Learning Tree's another one. So getting the Kingdom as this, maybe on the good side of the good guys, is a cool thing. You think about, you got the conglomeration, and now you'll have these guys. So Yeah, I like the move. I think it benefits both Hook for retiring that championship and benefits the Kingdom, Roderick Strong and Matt Taven and Mike Bennett in being baby faces. A good way to potentially, hopefully, get these guys recharged and a fresh coat of paint, as Robert and Bruce Pritchard would say. Let's see what else I want to cover on here. We had that tag match, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Seems how it's going to be positioned is that Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher will be at odds. From how it felt, was maybe Kyle Fletcher would also break away from Don Callis. My prediction was that they would win these tag team championships, but that did not happen. And after Callis introduced a wrench, not a wrench, oh my god, a screwdriver into the works when it came to Kyle Fletcher. He tried giving it to him. Kyle Fletcher was seemingly going to use it against the Bucks, and Ospreay stopped him. And then the Bucks took advantage, cracked Fletcher with the belts, and got the win. So the fact that Ospreay did not do that indicates how big of a babyface he remains. And then will this charge up Fletcher to be like, we should have won those titles and you blew it, despite the chicanery that went down. So, liked this. I was all for the Bucks kind of losing the championships and kind of moving on, and then you can create, whether it's conflict or synergy between Ospreay and Fletcher moving on with these championships. I thought there was some meat on the bone with that. But you still get kind of that too when considering the storyline that happened. So who will the Bucks go up against next? What will be their contenders? They need to really charge up this tag team division. I think that's going to be a big factor moving forward. Yeah, should be a primary thing for them to really focus on AEW. Like, how are you going to reestablish a tag division that feels up to the level of the guys like the Young Bucks? And guys like, even though they're not going to be a tag team, guys like Ospreay and Fletcher, because they really showed out like in what they were capable of doing. Like, from a athletic standpoint, holy smokes. Really, really great match and a lot of fun to watch. These guys are super talented. So let's get a little of the feedback here. Billy Robinson would have been smiling. Yeah, right? Yes, he definitely would have. Wrestling Old Head also says, Dom, I hope you have a good day. Going to be in and out today's show. Want to send a shout out to Alt Jake for killing it last. Oh, yes. How'd it go, Alt Jake? Let me know. Definitely keep me posted on that. I want to see how it is. If you can send a link or something, feel free to post it in the YouTube chat. But yeah, congrats to you. That's awesome. Tony Gong says, every match on AEW program could be a title match, and there would still be titles left out, right? There would be, it's true. Yeah, I agree. The screwdriver is stupid. It's a dumb, like, I don't know, a component that they've put into the mix of this all. Don Callis, he can be a decent commentator, I think, and things like that, but is he great at being a manager? Not really. Like, he doesn't really add anything, you know? And it's just, I don't know. I think he's a good heel, but it's also like, I don't know. He just doesn't fit. There's more you can do with some guys like that. Now, he'll definitely give the heel heat to Kyle Fletcher if Fletcher stays with him, but it's also just like, I don't know. He kind of feels like, I don't know. He's an added set of sprinkles or something on a cake that already has too many sprinkles. Is that a bad analogy? I think so. So yeah, we're gonna go. Let's talk about the big takeaway. Prince Nana was giving an update on Swerve, and it felt like a nothing update. He was like, well, he's hurt, he's trying. Nana brought out his coffee, threw his coffee out, and Nana's from New York, so pretty cool reception he got there. But then, who comes out? And it took me a second to register who it was. It was MVP. MVP comes out and basically says he thinks Swerve is top star potential, showed what a memorable championship run he had. People will learn from the history, looking back at his matches and his title defenses as how to be a champion. So really put over Swerve big time, but then put down Prince Nana and presented He's like, I want to talk business, and then handed Nana a card to give to Swerve. How about that? So, an added element coming into play with MVP. We speak about these factions. There looks to be another heel faction potentially forming here, from reports being that like the Hurt Syndicate is what will be introduced into AEW, and one would think that it would be Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin. Where's Swerve going to fall into this? So it creates an intriguing story to it all. Also adds another faction into AEW where there's a bunch of them, and that's been like their go-to thing since AEW has grown a little bit. Is the factions all over the place, and then a lot of them don't last very long either. So it's just like, oh, another one in the mix. But I'm excited if they can kind of break up some of these factions at some point. And I'm saying, let's go with like, if you want to keep a couple. Like, I mean, I don't think the Kingdom should necessarily... I know I just mentioned them as a new babyface faction, but I think realistically you could break them up and not be a faction anymore. And they could still be friends, but they're not a faction. Let some of these factions just kind of disperse. And yeah, not every group needs to have a name. I'd keep the conglomeration. That's a pretty fun one, and they just introduced Rocky Romero into the mix as the newest member of the faction. So you can kind of keep that as a fun, lighthearted babyface tag team that people can really live vicariously through. But Hurt Syndicate should be a faction, absolutely. But yeah, I would not make... I don't know. There's just a lot. There's a lot to go on. Like, even break up the Elite, right? You could do that. Just make the Young Bucks on their own. Have Okada go his own way. I think everybody would kind of benefit from that. Is this new Elite kind of dispersing too? There's some things you can kind of do to kind of make factions like the Learning Tree or the Hurt Syndicate feel kind of like bigger, because if you have so many factions, it doesn't really... It's just you get oversaturated. There's so much white noise going on. Let's see here. Let's take a look at some of the stuff here. Glad Hook gave Taz the FTW title. FTW out, put back on the Shrine's shelf. He should use "beat me if you can" as a catchphrase instead. Oh, I like that. Unless Hook was saying goodbye. Did he renew his contract? Good point. Did he? Interesting. Would have loved to be a fly on the wall win if Jericho and MVP had a meeting before MVP signed the dotted line. Whoa, interesting. Yeah, they do have a history with one another, do they not? Right? And some of that was aired out a little bit, I believe, on social media before. Yeah, I imagine, hey, it kind of speaks to the aspect of, like, let's do business. We might not like each other, but let's make business happen. So could this potentially just be a good sign for AEW that, hey, we're, I know that the Bucks and Punk and, people have had their conflicts, Britt Baker, MJF. Maybe this is a good visual, like, subtext kind of thing for them, where it's like there is going to be synergy despite maybe two people not seeing eye to eye or not getting along or not liking each other. So good on them for having that happen. But yeah, should be fun stuff, I think, with the Hurt Syndicate getting introduced. They feel like a legitimate faction, especially if you get Bobby Lashley there and Shelton Benjamin. This is like the recharge, because, I mean, it was cut off too early at the knees in WWE. And I think that's a universal agreement in a lot of ways. Like, Hurt Business did not get their just due. And so if they continue this on in AEW, and AEW can ride that momentum, find a cool, fun way to portray them that really heats them back up and makes them not feel like, hey, this is a redo, but more, this is a continuation. You want that to happen. So hopefully they're able to do that. Like I said previously, I did not get to see the Mariah May match, but did see that German suplex. Holy cats, that was something, huh? Those gals can go. Like, I just even seeing that clip and seeing what both have been capable of doing, it's like, it's a good match to have. I will definitely go back and watch it. I just had to kind of get my things together earlier today and make sure I was ready for the show when it came to the rundown. Then we had Moxley taking on Darby Allin. I caught the ending of this match. Good fighting spirit that Darby Allin portrayed. Like, the visual of people spitting and blood coming out of their mouth is always like, oh, whatever. Ugh. I mean, it's part of wrestling and fighting, like, if you're actually doing it. So that is part of it. So, but these guys had a fun little fight, and Moxley ended up getting the definitive win against Darby. Now, does Darby look bad in doing all this? I would say no. I wouldn't, because Darby is a risk taker in and out of the ring. So it kind of makes sense for him to be like, yeah, I'll put it on the line. Like, he's a loose cannon. Like, marches to the beat of his own drum. So I'm not sure what was on. Tell me what the unprotected floor spot was. What did they do on that one? Andrew Hermes is making mention of that. But yeah, this is I thought it was okay that Darby lost. You know, the whole booking and structure of this, when it comes to Nigel and Danielson and then Mox and Darby, I will always kind of be like, yeah, that was not good. Like, this didn't make sense. This didn't make sense. But I will say it makes sense as Darby's character to be like, yeah, I'll put it on the line up against you. I don't care. I think you can buy into that with Darby. So, and we get a conflict at the end. Danielson comes out and does want to go to war with Moxley. We see Moxley side by side with Claudio, and Marina Shafir's obviously at ringside. And then Danielson's got the backing of Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, and oh my God, Commander, who they made official that trio will actually be taking on the remaining BCC members when it comes to. Yeah, I said it right. I had to think if I said the initials right. They'll be taking them on at Collision. So, Commander and Private Party. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that too. You know, how they booked, what matches remain? Are you guys going to tune into Collision, or are you going to be like, yeah, I'll figure out the results later on? You know, there's a set of matches. It's still a hefty card that you could. I think in a lot of ways, it's still a Dynamite kind of card, right? You have Jarrett and Hangman as a big premier fight. Then you have other ones too. When it comes, you got the trios match, Learning Tree going up against Conglomeration. You got Jack Perry's Open Challenge. Who is it going to be? What are we going to get another surprise coming in here? Could we see like a Shelton Benjamin or somebody? The match has already happened, so I'm sure the spoilers are out there. So I don't know, but yeah, Jake, that's the thing. Nobody does tune into Collision. So, but does this give you some extra incentive to tune into Collision? You know, I think it does. I mean, the matches are good, and you get that atmosphere of AEW Grand Slam. I'll at least DVR it, and then I'll watch it. It's been forever since I tuned into Collision. So yes, on my end, yes, it does give me incentive to watch. Yuka Saka. Oh my God, I was trying to do her justice by saying her actual name. Yuka Sakazaki. That's the woman who went up against Mariah May, and I really like her. I like both those women, so want to just give them props, even though I didn't see the match. Man, so many people on the roster. Almost 53, it feels like. At least 53. Definitely over 53 when it comes to AEW. But, hey, 53 men on a roster, on an NFL roster. Let's talk about some DraftKings Pick 6. Tonight, it's the Cowboys. It's the Giants going mano a mano in New York City. Just right across from Arthur Ashe. Actually, probably a little bit farther because they're in Jersey. But they're going up against one another. You can pick your players. Will they go over? Will they go under their stats? Pick Dak Prescott. Will he go over 200 and something yards? You can do that on DraftKings Pick 6 and make your bets. They got something to prove, I think, the Cowboys, after their defense looks faulty against the running game. The Giants, however, they're fighting for their survival. Brian Daboll's looking to keep his job. They had a good win last week, but can they keep that momentum going? They're not very good against Dak Prescott. That has been a fact. So make your bets. Pick 3 players. Will they go over or under the statistics? And use promo code RUMOR when you download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, and you will get cash back to use on DraftKings. So do that. All you got to do is pick at least 3 players and make your choices. For example, last week I did bet $10 on 3 different players, and I stood to win 50-something bucks. Didn't win because my player choices were not good. So, but yours could be better. You can start tonight. Give it a try. Thursday Night Football against the division rivals when it's Dallas and New York. And make your picks. DraftKings Pick 6 app. Promo code RUMOR. The crown is yours. Wow, speaking of Jersey, WWE made the announcement that they will be heading to MetLife Stadium, where this game is taking place, to have SummerSlam next summer. Is it next summer? I just want to make sure. Or is it 2026? Let me look. I should probably look to that. Because isn't SummerSlam... I think SummerSlam's actually in Minneapolis, right? Let's take a lookie. Nope, 2025. It's next year, guys. Saturday, August 2nd, and Sunday, August 3rd at MetLife Stadium. The first ever 2-night SummerSlam. Is that too much? Is that too much? WWE's, I think, has a game plan to make it happen. Yes, thank you, Jake. It is 2026 SummerSlam is in Minnesota. Don't you know? Don't you know? So, yeah. So, let me say, I've been to WrestleMania 29 when it was in New York City back in 2013. Very difficult to get out of that arena or that stadium. And then on top of it, I was at WrestleMania. I was in New York for WrestleMania. I think it was 35, right? Where they were in New York City. And I didn't even go to the show. I went and watched it at Legends Bar, I think it was called, in New York City, where Stan Hansen was there. J.J. Dillon was there. Al Snow was there. I didn't see Al Snow, though. He was there, though. And so they had a little event there, and that was so fun. I left, like, kind of quote-unquote at halftime. I think after Kofi won the championship against Danielson, I boogied on out of there and made it back to my crappy hotel in Secaucus to just hit the hay. So, yeah, what I'm saying is it's not the ultimate place for a fan to be at, I think. But it is New York. You can definitely get a good vibe going. But I don't know what my cat's playing. Oh, my cat is playing with an earbud right now. But yeah, so big news. Will you go if you're from the Northeast area? Are you like, yes, I will go to SummerSlam? You have 2 nights to try it out. But yeah, other thing I wanted to talk about, Young Bucks just on Dynamite, their flight home, a picture has surfaced of them standing with Shane McMahon. And I think that Matt Jackson posted it, and I think the caption said, "Lots to talk about on the flight home," or something to that effect. Let me see. I have it in a group chat. I have the picture in a group chat. Here it says, "Interesting flight today." So, yes, they talked about, I'm sure, stuff. I don't know if they actually flew home, but funny stuff, though, right? Now, is them teasing Shane McMahon hanging out, is this taking away from the intrigue of Shane McMahon? If they're kind of already saying, hey, he's kind of part of us, if they're making that indication. Like, you have to pay it off now, it seems like. If you're taking pictures, you see him in a meeting with Tony Khan, now you see him with the Young Bucks. Like, you have to pay this off. If Shane doesn't show up, it kind of feels like, wow, where's Shane? What's going on? They were just hanging out? Like, okay. So does it feel kind of like, are you liking the quote-unquote booking of this? I don't know. I would prefer to have him I would have preferred to not see any picture surface of him, and then all of a sudden he shows up at AEW. Now it's kind of, almost feels a little telegraphed now. But still pretty cool. They want to create some buzz. That'll do it on social media. So, hey, we'll have to wait and see. I would think Shane was going to be aligning with Jon Moxley, going to be aligning with these ne'er-do-wells he's assembled together. Man, my cat is really screwing with that earbud. I'm gonna have to take that from him. He's going nuts. But yes, I think that this will be. It's intriguing. It's definitely intriguing. I think them with all the hubbub going around the Vince documentary, Shane being on that documentary, controversy creates cash, and so we'll see if that does it with Shane McMahon. So interesting stuff. I was going to talk about AJ Styles, but we can always talk about that tomorrow. You can find me today, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Greg Gagne, Magnum TA, Straight Talk with the Boss. We will be going live on the One True Sport TV and on FourHorsemenNetwork.com. You will also be able to soon enough listen. The audio will be back for Arn. If you were an avid listener of Arn Anderson's podcast, which is great, fantastic, you will be able to listen to that yet again. More information further down the line on that. Once we get the Apple Podcast associated with it and everything like that, I'll be keeping your eyes out for that, because both Arn and Straight Talk with the Boss will be on that audio feed. So you'll get perspectives from 3 different legends in the business. So fun stuff. Let's see here too. Tomorrow, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, me and RVD going live, one of a kind. And RVD is ready to talk about the Vince McMahon documentary. So we'll be covering that. I need to watch. I've only still seen the first episode, so I need to watch more of that. I'll be taking notes, and we'll have an interesting conversation tomorrow night, live, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to RVD's YouTube channel, go to OneTrueSportTV.com, and you can always watch the clips at RVDTV.com. So there you go. Can't wait for Robert to get back. Maybe he'll be back tomorrow if he's got a voice again. But stay tuned. He'll also be recording at some point when he can, Working Stiff, him and Scott Chaplin. Lots to discuss. This Grand Slam, all this news that I was just talking about with Shane McMahon and the Bucks, every MVP, you name it. So be sure to subscribe to their podcast and look at their Patreon too. So, being said, you can always tune into us live every Monday through Friday, noon Eastern Standard Time, on the Working Stiff YouTube, on Rumor and Innuendo YouTube, on the Ad Free Shows YouTube, on Rumor WE Creative _ish X account, and on the SEScoops.com X account. So, hey, before I forget too, go and check out my interview with Big Bill. I was so happy I got a chance to interview Big Bill before AEW Grand Slam. His nephew, born premature, and he's a part of the 2024 Baby of the Year campaign. If you vote for him, they stand a chance to win $25,000, and all that will go out to help his baby nephew Connor, who was born 28 weeks. So, wow, that's 2 months, I believe, premature. Maybe a month. I'm trying to think. So 9 months. I can't do math well in my head. So 8 months. So yes, he's about a month premature. And so they had some complications, but he's home and he's being taken care of. And Big Bill wanted to get the word out about this. So be sure to, I'll put the link in the podcast feed for this too, to promote that. And then I'll also put it on the YouTube channel. But give a chance and donate, or just make your vote to this. The link will be available. You can check out the article will be up on SEScoops.com, and then on top of it, you can check my social media. Follow me on social media at Dominic D'Angelo. You'll see all that information there that you can be able to watch the interview and in turn vote for baby Connor. So do that. Was really happy I was able to do that. So I tell you what, Big Bill's such a nice dude. Such a nice dude. We cover that. We cover Jericho and the Learning Tree, his fandom. I asked him what 3 athletes would he like to have attended Grand Slam to watch him. So some cool conversation there. Be sure to check it out. One of my favorite interviews. Such a nice dude. So, all right, guys. All of that considered, I will see you tomorrow. But I do want to wish you best of luck in your future endeavors. And wow, Shane O'Mac, is he back? We'll find out.